I'm Tracy Boyles. I am the SSA, SLI at Powers Ferry Elementary. The first thing I did was talk to my special ed teachers. I think that's going to be the biggest piece because they're the ones who are in charge of the IEP. The ones who invite people to the IEP and control who attends the IEP. So that's really where I began, and they really communicated to the ESOL teachers that we have a student who is served through dually, and we need to you need to be there so you can have your input and we can make a decision about how the child is served for both services. Our teachers collaborate on Thursdays. However, it's not really an ideal time, and it's really we just have to encourage them to create time, which is not an ideal situation. We realize that. It really takes commitment on the part of the teacher and on the part of the ESOL teacher to set aside an hour here or 30 minutes there. Unfortunately, because of the nature of their schedules, and they're both teaching at the same time and usually don't have even the same lunch. It's very difficult for us to schedule a time. So we leave it up to the teachers to schedule a time during the afternoon or the first thing in the morning, before school starts. That's usually how it has to happen. In the IEP process, it's a process of really determining the students where they are currently functioning, how they're doing with every academic subject, and then we talk about what their needs are within the classroom, and then we talk about their goals and objectives, and those are the big things that drive special ed placement. And then we can look at where ESOL fits into the equation, because there are times when there are specific subjects that we in special ed would like to serve because we've identified processing weaknesses that are tied to that specific subject, or there's some other reason that we feel like it's important that special ed be the one to serve the student. But there's also times when we can be more flexible because maybe the student is served as a result of behavioral issues, or maybe the student is served as a result of some medical issue that ESOL can step in wherever it's appropriate. So it's a really looking at the needs of the student, and then the availability of the schedule and what that looks like, and sort of wrapping everything together in a big bow. I think the biggest thing that we have to do in special education and in ESOL is to be flexible. We have to realize in special education there are lots of different ways that we can serve students, and it's very flexible in time, and really nothing is off the table. So thinking outside the box and thinking about what the needs of the students are is the biggest thing that we can do to make sure that the students are receiving both services, and not saying that one service is more important than the other. Most of the challenges revolve around time, and of course the scheduling. It's definitely a challenge, and a kind of a paradigm shift to think outside the box and not think that there's just one certain way that we have to serve kids and there's no other way to do it. So I think that's one of the biggest things. And of course, as far as time goes, setting aside time for the teachers to work together and to collaborate, because it's really a collaboration between general education, special education, and ESOL. So it's hard to get all those people time for them to set aside to work together. So that's a big challenge. And then just teachers really seeing it as a priority. I think it's not hard to get teachers to know to understand what's best for students, but sometimes it's a little different way of thinking than they're used to. So it's just talking through, and as soon as they are a part, especially ESOL teachers, as soon as they are a part of an IEP meeting, they can't ever imagine not being there because they see how important it is for them to have input, and their opinion is valued, and we know that they know as much about the student as we do as far as special education. So it's really important that they realize that, and they want to be a part of it. It's never, especially for here anyway, it's never been us having to drag them into IEP meetings. Once they realize what it is, they want to be here and they want to give their input. The benefits are numerous for the students. And anytime a group of teachers who are providing services to a student get together and talk about how they can support the student and the student's strengths and the student's strengths and weaknesses, and how we can all work together to address those strengths and weaknesses, then it's going to be a benefit to the child. It takes a village, and so I think it's really important that the teachers are working together and doing everything that they can to make sure that the student is making progress, whether it's in regards to their disability or for their language acquisition. I think one of the biggest things that has made it work here at Powers Ferry is that the teachers know that the administration is behind them and supportive, and that these are our expectations, and that we expect the teachers to collaborate, and that we know that it's best for students, and we work really hard to communicate that to the teachers from the day one of the school year. I've been working with these teachers for a while, and so they understand that that's what's going to happen and what's supposed to happen, and they understand that it's what's best for kids. So it's really hasn't been there hasn't really been any pushback with that. And then the principal is very supportive. She understands as well, and so she will back up any teacher, or she will work with me, and we work together to provide the teachers with time if we need to. If we need to put a sub in for a certain amount of time, we realize that those are some of the things that we have to work through. So we do whatever we can to make sure that the teachers feel supported, and that this works for them, so that we can make sure it works for students.